cutback high school football time. Horst, are you ready? We had a bunch of exciting games this week.
Yeah, we're back. There were a lot of big games on the docket this week. Some lived up to their potential. Some turned out a little one-sided, but it was a good time checking them out, watching everyone play.
One game I was really excited for was Linden versus Big Valley.
Yeah, we had the Lions facing the Lions. A little bit of small school football action here.
Mm-hmm.
Two good teams. Every year, both these two teams are good. Our guy, Sherm Bands, James Sherman, leads the Linden Lions, and Linden kind of ran away with this one a little bit, 34-6. Sherm led the way with 4 touchdowns, and his younger brother, Jordan Sherman, caught the 5th touchdown from Joe Cowan, the quarterback at Linden. Overall, what did you think of the game, Ant?
Well, I actually watched this game. I live streamed it. I asked, the coach, Brian Berkfeld, from Big Valley, where they were streaming. I went on NFHS, so if you have that, go ahead and go on there and watch these games. You can watch them on demand, which is fun to do. I went back and watched some other games. But this game was a fun game because it was a battle at first. And they were just really battling back and forth. And, it was a struggle. But James Sherman has breakaway speed, and he was able to break out, make fantastic runs. I mean, the fact he had an 81-yard touchdown run, it was impressive. Up the middle, he breaks out to the right side and just outruns everyone to the end zone. Fantastic play. Now, Big Valley wasn't without, big-time plays too. I know they had an interception for a touchdown, which was fantastic to see. Big Valley had big-time players as well, and they were really playing hard the whole time, and they never gave up. They kept sticking to their guns. But Linden's defense showed up very stout, Horst.
And correct if Big Valley is struggling a little bit numbers-wise this year.
Yeah, it didn't look like they had too many guys on the sidelines.
So they're a team that's always going to come out and give great effort and be well coached. In Big Valley, Brian Berkfeld has those guys, playing hard, playing good football. I think they just really struggled to stop an electric running back in James Sherman this week.
Yeah, Sherm went off the 4 touchdowns. I mean, 2 absolutely long runs. The one for touchdown, the one that got him inside the 5-yard line. I mean, he looked impressive. This was the kind of game that people take notice of. And like we've talked about in previous weeks, if you want to beat Linden, you have to stop James Sherman. All right, Horst. Next up, we had the Chavez Titans against the Bear Creek Bruins, and what ended up being a very, very good game. 32-18, Chavez over Bear Creek.
Well, I know one thing. The Chavez kids were really excited to finally be able to get on the field after some COVID issues have kept them from playing. Bear Creek's, of course, looking for a win, looking for their second win of the season after beating Franklin last week. This was a pretty competitive ball game. Reuben Hooks, who you'll hear more about from in a minute, had a big game. He had 2 rushing touchdowns for Chavez this week. He looked really good running the ball. Then they also received a touchdown from Javante Foster on a pass from Brandon Wood. And then Elijah Falk-Tyndall capped out their scoring with a rushing touchdown. Now, as far as Bear Creek goes, sophomore Charles Rogers kept them in the game with 2 kick return touchdowns. And Shantae Todd returned a fumble for a touchdown as well. Charles Rogers is a name to look out for coming in the future. That kid is lightning.
Reuben Hooks, Horst, is the guy that stands out to me because I got to see his highlights from the game. And big, fast, strong, great runner. Initial contact does not bring him down. This is a guy that's getting overlooked that we need to put, eyes out there on.
Agreed.
Because he's a big-time player in this area, and people need to take notice of him because he's a big runner. I mean, he's real physical. I liked what he did. Good vision. Also a good blocker. Take advantage of making big blocks and helping other teammates out. So this is a guy to keep an eye on because he's going to be a big-time player all throughout the season.
Yeah, it looks that way.
Horse, next up we had Manteca against Ripon, and what was sure to be a big battle, and it really, really was. Manteca got the win 47-28, but this one was razor tight at halftime.
Yeah, Ripon really came out, responded from a little bit of a lackluster performance last week, and gave the reigning Division III section champions quite a game. Ripon was actually winning 28-23 at the end of the third quarter before Manteca pulled away. Ripon, from everything that we've seen, Ripon's quarterback Aaron Wood was really just able to give Manteca fits. He's mobile back there. He's got a good arm. He threw for 230 yards with 4 touchdowns. And according to Manteca's coach, every time they thought they had him sacked, he would squirt out and hit Malik Taylor for a bomb, who is the other guy we're going to talk about here. First time playing football. Senior in high school. 3 catches for 135 yards and 3 touchdowns. Big time game. Apparently Malik is a big time basketball athlete out there at Ripon and decided to give football a go. Maybe he should make it a more permanent go.
Manteca wasn't without a lot of standouts, and it's the usual suspects. Khalid Robinson, 9 carries for 114 yards and 2 touchdowns. He also caught 5 passes for 90 yards, so he's doing it all on the offensive end. Lion Cologne carrying the weight, 22 carries for 167 yards and 3 touchdowns. And then Blake Nicholson had a touchdown, including 2 receptions for 65 yards. That means he's getting it done on the offensive end. That is what helps you spark that big-time 47-point output, Horst.
The score sounds a little lopsided, but this was a heck of a game until there were only a few minutes left, and Manteca pulled away a little bit. Ripon playing up a couple divisions here, playing a very tough Manteca squad, and playing -3 two-way starters due to COVID quarantine issues. They came out to Manteca and put on a heck of a performance.
Yeah, both these teams have a championship pedigree. Both of them are going to be hard to beat for the remainder of the season.
Yeah, definitely.
Horse, Josiah Scott is one heck of a player.
Yeah, he's a beast. One of the best linemen around in this area.
Yeah, he was a good one to highlight because he's a good one to watch because he's got a lot of ability. He could be something in the future. Now, as far as this game goes, McNair really took care of business, 42-0 over the Franklin Yellow Jackets. McNair bouncing back after the loss of Stagg with a big win.
Yeah, McNair definitely coming out and showing that big play ability we both kind of warned about. McNair's usually able to score from anywhere on the field at any point, and they showed that they could do that. Franklin still trying to get their footing in that program. And I still feel like Franklin is playing better this year than they have in the last couple of years, because in the last couple of years those games were 70-0, and now they're getting defensive stops. They're putting offensive drives together, and I know it might not always show on the scoreboard, but Franklin's kids, coaching staff, we're noticing the improvements you guys are putting together. So keep up the work. I'm sure you guys will get it going here pretty soon.
And let's remember, Franklin barely lost to Bear Creek last week, only a 4-point loss, and then they went and played McNair. They'll bounce back. They'll be in it.
Yeah, I think so too.
Horse, we had an absolutely close game between Sierra and Oakdale. A 1-point game, in fact, as Oakdale squeaks out a 21-20 victory over Sierra.
Yeah, this was a heck of a ball game, and it was a rematch of the 2019 Division IV Section Championship game, and it definitely lived up to the hype, finishing with a 1-point game. Both these teams are loaded with good players and are well coached. They kind of do things differently, but they're both loaded with players. Sierra has guys like Kamoni Sandley, Marcelo Morales, and quarterback Ryan Borgeson, who had not played since Pop Warner, so he seems to get better with every game.
Yeah, I mean, and then you got on the other side, Oakdale has Jackson Holt, and he's a big-time quarterback in the area. But I think what we're looking at here, too, is just that these two teams had so many questions coming out of, last week's games, because Sierra had played against Weston Ranch, and they did really well. And the question was, could they repeat that performance against Oakdale? And Oakdale had questions on defense because Escalon put up 35 points against them. So how are they going to bounce back? How are they going to be able to stop this, very potent offense for Sierra that had just put up huge numbers on Weston Ranch? And we got our answer, a 21-20, really a battle from both teams.
Yeah, it was quite the contest. It went back and forth the whole time. Neither team gave up. Maybe we got our section championship game. It just happened a little bit early.
Yeah, and I think it can't be missed that Zeke Safar had 218 yards rushing. That can't be overlooked. Him dominating on the ground for Oakdale, that's big time.
Yeah, and now that Oakdale's been able to add the passing of Jackson Holt to that attack, when you get Oakdale two-dimensional, that's when Oakdale's very scary.
It's pick your poison against Oakdale. They'll either spread you out or they'll run it straight at you. Either way, you're in a lot of trouble. But both these teams are to be reckoned with this season.
Yeah, it looks like there's going to be a lot of good football played out at the Corral in Oakdale this year.
Agree with that. Horse, when you talk about big matchups every single year, this is one that always gets brought up because Tracy comes to play every week, and St. Mary's is a bona fide stud of a team. So we got St. Mary's against Tracy, and St. Mary's got it done 54-14 over Tracy, which is an impressive victory.
Yeah, it is a really impressive victory because Tracy is no slouch. I know the last couple games this year haven't went their way, but Tracy is a good team, and I wouldn't be shocked to see Tracy not drop another game the rest of the way. They're a very good team. Just right now, St. Mary's and Lincoln are both playing very good football and very talented, and St. Mary's is always like that. They're a machine.
It's a tough way to start the season. You play Lincoln and then you play St. Mary's. That's not an easy road at all. So these guys are definitely battle tested, and we're going to see what they do the rest of the season. Jaden Marshall with a big touchdown, Horse. Tyree Washington, 146 yards and 3 touchdowns on the ground. This offense just keeps rolling.
Yeah, I mean, they just have so many weapons. They can hit you from all sorts of different angles. They're like a boxer or something. They can throw jabs, counter punches, straight rights, hooks, uppercuts. I mean, they're tough to beat. Nasiri Danielson is a guy that continues to make a name for himself this year. The sophomore, he had another 2 receiving touchdowns today or in this game, and he had 2 catches for 129 yards. Another name we aren't quite familiar with is Jason Calvin. He had 1 catch for 80 yards and a touchdown. So
That's explosive.
Yeah, if you want to hear explosive, their quarterback Nathan Arnaudo, 248 yards and 3 touchdowns on 5 attempts.
Woo! That is efficiency to an all-time high, Horse.
Yeah. So now Tracy was not without their share of good plays.
Of course.
Noah Jano, the starting quarterback, had a nice 68-yard rushing touchdown on one of their triple option plays.
Mm-hmm.
And their backup quarterback, Drew Frederick, tossed a 32-yard touchdown pass to Gabe Andorra. That was in the fourth quarter. Like I said, Tracy's not going to give up.
Yeah, and Tracy, played both guys a lot at quarterback, and both guys had pretty good success. Of course, Daener, more dual threat, and he gets a lot of things going on the ground, so that's why he's impressive. But St. Mary's had the guys to stop him too, because Max Rascone had 14 tackles. This guy continues to impress from the linebacker position. And then we got Mafi coming through with the pick six. Horse, last week we misspoke. He had a fumble return for a touchdown. It was not Rascone that we gave him credit for. Unfortunately, Max Preps got it wrong, but it was Mafi. So Mafi making plays big time, returning plays, turnovers for touchdowns. That's what you need from your defensive players.
Luckily, my source at St. Mary's was able to let us know.
Correct.
So we could correct and get Paulie Mafi his proper credit for making that play. Rascone still makes plenty of plays, so I don't think it takes anything away from him.
No, I enjoy it. I like being able to talk about more kids doing big-time things. We've saw Mafi play for a long time. He's a good player. Man. He's young. This team is only going to get better, and that's a scary thought for everyone else.
Yeah, it definitely is.
Sounds
course, quarterback crew Marinez is one heck of a player from Gregory. I mean, this guy is just coming out firing on all cylinders. Yeah. 16 of 24, 237 yards, 1 touchdown, and he ran for 2 more.
That's 7 touchdowns in 2 games so far this year. He's definitely got the keys to an explosive offense. He's a heck of a player.
The fact that he's a junior means he's only going to develop more. People need to start taking notice to this kid because he's going to be something special. Now, Horse, what about Pittman? What do they do?
Now, Pittman is always a power in this area. We know that. Anytime you go into play Pittman, you better be ready to hit. You better be ready to play some tough football. Gregory put up a fight, but Pittman came back real fired up. They lost to Enoch for the first time in more than a decade last week. So they were real fired up. They came out, they won the game 48-20. Running back Sergio Romo had 2 touchdowns. Quarterback Jared Marin threw 2 touchdowns, and Joey Stout scored 2 touchdowns as well, 1 rushing, 1 receiving, in the win for the Pittman Pride. They're going to be a tough team to beat the rest of the way, but I thought Gregory really did a great job playing them tough.
Yeah, Jaden Miller led on the ground, 10 carries for 66 yards. You had some defensive standouts too. Jake McVay had 11 tackles. Aiden Powers had 9 tackles. And Jonathan Crispian had a sack. Horst, a big sack for them. So all those guys standing out for Gregory. We are glad that Gregory reached out to us because we are glad to feature them on the show.
Yeah, definitely. We were happy to hear it. Good to see another big-time quarterback around the area. Cruz is going to be a big-time player this year and next. Really looking forward to watch him grow and improve between this year and next year. Pittman gives a lot of people problems, so Gregory has nothing to hang their head about there. They came up, played hard, played well, just came up short.
Yeah, and if you know more players like Cruz that you would like to get featured on here, make sure you let us know. You can either email us, cutbackfootball@gmail.com, or hit us up on one of the social medias that's up there and let us know. People have been reaching out, and we are more than happy to not only watch film, but feature the kids on here so that way they can get the recognition that they deserve.
Yeah, most definitely. We're here about the kids, trying to promote the kids.
Horst, Weston Ranch was looking to bounce back after a tough game last week, and they did bounce back in a big way, defeating Division 7 perennial power Daener 26-6.
Yeah, we thought this was an interesting matchup coming in because although Weston Ranch is a higher division, Daener is an absolute powerhouse of Division 7. They also contrast in styles, where Daener likes to keep it in tight, double wing, run the ball right at you. Weston Ranch is a spread, more athletic team. It looks like it worked out for Weston Ranch, where they got to the outside using their speed, and Daener could not stop them.
Yep.
And there were a few good players for Weston Ranch in this game, including two quarterbacks that threw for 100 yards.
Yeah, Noah Deed went 3 of 4 for 121 yards and 2 touchdowns, and Rogelio Ruvalcaba 6 of 8 for 125 yards and a touchdown, which is absolutely crazy. Jose Aguilar was 2 of 3 for 36 yards, so actually had 3 guys throwing passes.
So it's amazing. They have an interesting offense going on over there, but maybe they thought they needed some changes after their poor performance in week 1. They definitely came back. They moved the ball. They got some yards, got some touchdowns, so it's hard to criticize it.
Yeah, Aaron Jaimez Rodriguez, he had 3 catches for 148 yards and 2 touchdowns, which is fantastic. They also had Mauricio Morales, who had 2 for 17 yards and 1 touchdown. So they're spreading it around. Jaimez Rodriguez also added 100 yards in kick return game, Horst.
Wow, Jaimez Rodriguez must be a heck of a player. I have not seen him yet. We'd love to get some info on him if you guys have any. Sounds like an explosive athlete you got down there at Weston Ranch. I'm sure they have a lot of good players, though, and it's good to see them bounce back with this kind of performance. Another guy we want to highlight is on defense is number 3, Demir Brown Sanger. Had 17 tackles, 2 for loss, and 2 sacks, and had a pass defense. So he had a heck of a game on the defensive side of the ball.
It was good to see Weston Ranch show out, and these guys get out there and play, and we're happy to have some stats that we can finally bring to everyone to give these kids the recognition that they deserve because they're out there playing hard and balling on Daener. All right, Horst, the Wolfpack of West came to play Lodi, and it was a little bit of a tough game for West. Lodi winning the game 62-0.
Yeah, West is a really young team. It said in their newspaper they have about 20 players on varsity, and 16 are sophomores. So, I mean, that's tough. I'm sure that I watched a lot of that game. They gave a good effort, a spirited effort. But, just 2 years age difference between most of the players is a big difference. And it showed Lodi was able to move the ball pretty much at will running it. They had 8 touchdowns on the ground and 1 pick six. The touchdowns were made by Caden Merriman. He had 2. Adolfo Sanchez, Isaac Bishop, Christian Zamora, Ernesto Hernandez, Adam Schallberger, and Timmy Copeland had the pick six.
Yeah, West is, literally rebuilding. They're trying to rebuild. They got all those sophomores. And unfortunately, they're going to take some lumps. But, this is how they're going to build in the future. And next year, these guys are going to be juniors and they're going to be ready. Hopefully, they stand in there, play the rest of the season, take advantage of this practice time. Because here in the fall, they're going to be all back and hopefully together with a bigger roster and able to compete But good thing for them coming out and playing these games, playing hard, not giving up. You can't say enough about this team looking to rebuild, rebound, and I think they understand where they're at. Of course, a quick check-in on Liberty Ranch. They played El Dorado this week, and they were defeated 17-7 by a very stout El Dorado team.
Yeah, that loss drops Liberty Ranch to 0-3 on the year. They've had a couple tough battles here. They're looking to get back on the winning track as they play Galt in the big one on Thursday, the Dairy Bowl.
Yeah, that's going to be interesting. That's always a big-time battle. Hopefully we'll get more information on Liberty Ranch moving forward because we'd like to document some of these players, but we'll be looking forward to that one.
They better try and find someone to cover number 12.
Lincoln traveled to Tokay this week to play the Tokay Tigers, and Lincoln came out in force. They were able to defeat the Tokay Tigers 71-6. Horst, let's talk about this game.
Yeah, just one of those games. Lincoln is a very immensely talented ball club. They're going to be a problem for everyone around here. When their guys all get clicking on all cylinders, sometimes there's not much you can do about it. Tokay came out and gave a valiant effort, but just wasn't able to slow them down. Jonah Coleman had 6 carries for 111 yards and 2 touchdowns. Quarterback Kenny Nelson had 225 passing yards and 5 total touchdowns. And Ezreal Vasquez had a 43-yard pick 6 for Lincoln. Now on to Tokay. They did have a couple bright spots, some guys making plays. Joseph Filippini combined for 82 total yards, rushing and receiving. Atticus Salazar had 37 yards on 3 catches. And Quinn Carter had 2 catches for 26 yards, including their touchdown from quarterback Ty Donato. After the game, it was said about Filippini that he did a great job trying to keep the rest of their team's heads up throughout the game and be a leader when other players might have got down. That Tokay sideline kept fighting, kept encouraging each other, so that's a good sign for that program.
Yeah, there's a lot of guys that are very proud and want to do well there. There's a lot of confidence that they're going to bounce back. At least from us, because we know some of the kids, and we know that they're not going to just let this slide. They're going to get back on the horn and get busy. As far as Lincoln goes, we knew that this was these guys were going to come out and just be hard to stop. I mean, Kenyon Nelson and Jonah Coleman are just on another level, and they've got a lot of room to grow, even, which is scary for everyone else because these guys are going to get real good going through the future. But both those guys are fantastic players, and they've got great players sprinkled all throughout that program. They're starting to distance themselves from other teams in the area about talent and how good they are. And the question is going to be, are they on a collision course with St. Mary's at the end of the year to see who is the best team in Stockton? I think Edison might have something to say about that because Edison looks pretty good too. But these teams are really good, Horst. Galt welcome in the Rio Linda Knights to the Galt Warriors' beautiful stadium. And there was a heck of a game. In fact, you went to the game. Did you enjoy it?
I did. I was in attendance at this game at the legendary Irv Hatzenbuehler Stadium. It's actually pretty nice now. If you haven't been there in the last couple of years, it's been redone. It was a tough battle. Galt was looking to rebound from a 41-6 loss to Bradshaw Christian. They played much better this week. They fell down 7-0 early. Then they took an 8-7 lead on a Tyler Zulum touchdown catch, about 20 yards, and then a 2-point conversion. It went into halftime with them up 8-7, and Rio Linda was able to score twice in the second half and make it 21-8 was the final in favor of the Knights. But Galt played much better this week than they did the week before. They had, outside of Zulum's catches, they had good performances from several players. Number 4, Kenny Tran, had a lot of nice runs running the ball. Number 9, his last name is Marino, got in the second half, ran the ball very well. He played a nice linebacker. He had a real nice hit on Rio Linda's running back. And then number 78 on Galt's defensive line, we do not have a name for him yet. but he made several plays in the backfield throughout the game. So they had some bright spots in that game. They're really going to be looking to improve because this week is the big one, the Dairy Bowl against Liberty Ranch. And right now, Galt does not have a final game scheduled for the final week. So this might be their last game of the season. You know they're going to come out giving everything they have, trying to pick up a win, both over their rival and in what might be the last game of the season.
Yeah, I watched some of this game as well. It was interesting. I didn't expect to see Galt offense, running what they ran. We got a little wishbone action. They were letting the bone roll down there in Galt. A little spin action. So the offense was fun to watch. That is what's always entertaining about watching high school football is from team to team, from division to division, from league to league, you get different types of offenses. Pretty much all the variety you could want in one little bowl of greatness that is high school football. And I enjoyed it. I did enjoy watching it run, them run, the fullback getting the dives up the middle. It was fun to watch. Galt is a fun team to watch, especially watching at that new stadium. It's good. Look forward to hopefully getting there in person at some point just because it's fun, especially because I was coached by Hatson Bueller as well. He liked to give candies after great plays, Horst. I don't know if you knew that, but he would give delicious candies. So if you did that, you could get that. Great guy. There's a great history there and a lineage. So hopefully Galt can keep it going. This one's going to be a big one, though. Dairy Bowl is going to be, for all the marbles, as they say.
I'm going to one-up you, and I used to eat breakfast with Hatson Bueller in kindergarten after my grandpa would pick me up.
Okay, you went all the way to kindergarten. Impressive. Now, this one, Horst, is always a big-time matchup. Edison versus Stagg, and Edison did not disappoint. They came out in a big way in this game. What are your thoughts on it?
Yeah, we promised you guys fireworks in the previous show. Unfortunately, the fireworks are only came from one side. But Edison really showed up and played extremely well in a 63-7 win over Stagg. We warned you guys that Edison had playmakers all over the field. They have new running back LaJamian Sampson had 3 touchdown runs. And the offensive and defensive lines led by Big Zach Tamu really did a great job. Stagg did have their couple guys make plays. Gabe Benton and Willie Turner made a lot of plays for Stagg. Didn't quite get in the end zone on most of them, but those two played a great game for Stagg. And there is one guy that my friend over here warned everyone about that had himself a day.
Yeah, we've been talking about Jalen Blackshear transferring from Lincoln over to Edison, and that he was ready to break out of the shadow and establish himself as one of the top guys in the area, and he did that. 9 carries for 223 yards. I actually got to watch some of this game on the stream, actually almost all of the game, and he broke on the first run. I mean, he just took it to the house, that elite speed. He got a nice hole, and then he just outran everyone. And in fact, he scored 2 touchdowns within 3 carries, showing the dynamic, ability that he has. He's one heck of a player. He's going to show people what he's capable of over the next few weeks. And then when we get into next season, I mean, who knows what he's going to do in that offense. But it was a fun game to watch, Horst, because Stagg did hold on. They didn't get blown out, early on in the first half. It was 14-0 for a long time. They were holding on. They were moving the ball. They just weren't able to get into the end zone, like you said. And they were running quick screens and getting the ball into playmakers' hands, like we talked about, Willie Turner and all that. So, I mean, they just really weren't able to capitalize on all the opportunities that they had. But they're a good football team, and I don't think that they're going to sleep, on this one. I think they're going to take this into consideration, what happened with Edison, move forward, and people are going to have to deal with, the repercussions of what this team's going to bring.
Yeah, Edison does have a great team, but I don't think this is a true representation of how good a team Stagg is, what happened this weekend. Sometimes the game can just get away from you when you're not playing your best. And I think Stagg will bounce back and have some big wins this year. They're still a team to be reckoned with in that league. There's still quite a bit of talent on that team.
Horst, our interview for this week is Coach Izzy Espinoza.
Yeah, Izzy's a longtime local youth and high school football coach in this area. We're looking forward to talk to him about what he thinks about the talent in this area and who are some key players to watch.
get ready to check out this interview. It's up next.
All right, guys. So our interview subject this week is local, both youth and high school football coach Izzy Espinoza. How's it going, Coach?
Really good, man. Enjoying the Sunday. Had a fun day of football yesterday, so pretty good stuff. And then this afternoon, about 3 more hours from now, we're gonna hook up with the little guys and go work those guys out before they go back to school on Monday.
All right, cool, man.
Well, welcome to the show, Izzy, too, by the way.
Thank you so much for having me. By the way, you guys are doing something really awesome for the youth in this area, and I appreciate you guys' efforts. I think it's important that the kids and everybody involved gets recognized, and you're a big part of that. So, good job, both of you guys.
Thanks, appreciate
Thanks,
it.
man. I appreciate it. So we're gonna start out with I just wanted for obviously I know this stuff and Anthony knows most of it, but so everyone following a little bit of your background as a coach in the area because it's a pretty long career now.
Yeah, I've been doing it for a minute. Since 1991, I got involved in coaching. My first employer, Lane Van Noy, who was a Parks and Recs director at that time. Coincidentally, also the father of linebacker Kyle Van Noy.
Yeah.
Right. He got me my first opportunity in coaching flag football, and I didn't know what I was doing, but I fell in love with it immediately, and so I continued to do it. And flag football, tackle, other sports. It's been really fun. I really enjoy it.
You also coached at Franklin, right, with Tom Werner back in the day?
I sure did. I had the pleasure of coaching with Coach Tom Werner. I really enjoyed working with him. He was my Pop Warner coach for the Lodi Rams back in the day. Head coach Russ Munson was a head coach, and he was a defensive coordinator. And then I followed him over when he was at Lodi High as a coach there. Mm-hmm.
And you had Frank Strong, correct, was a player when you were coaching over there.
Oh, my goodness. We had an amazing athletes. Frank Strong was definitely head and shoulders above everybody at that time. But there were some guys right on him. I mean, Chris Cash was amazing. Armand Holland was amazing. Bubba Strong, Frank's brother, was awesome. That team was loaded. We had a lot of good talent. Michael Vickers. I mean, he was a sophomore, but that guy was, you couldn't touch him. You couldn't cover him. The guy was, I mean, I can go on. I'm not Orlando Evans. He was our quarterback. I mean, it was fun. Yeah.
Because I know, Ant, you played against.
I did. I played against Frank Strong. It was one of the most unbelievable athletes on the field. Just tremendous. If you thought you had an angle on him, you definitely did not, because he's that much faster than everyone else on the field. What was it, 50 touchdowns his senior year? Unbelievable.
Because that's a guy right there that me and him always bring up when, guys talk about the Lavelle Hawkinses or the Doug Martins or the other guys from this area that might have been the best high school player from this area that we've seen.
What was interesting about Frank is not only was he strong, I mean, like his last name, right? He was very strong, very fast, extremely quick for his size. I mean, he was already a grown man. He was 6'2", 220, running like a receiver out of the backfield. It was crazy.
Yeah, really good guy, too. When he was with the 49ers for training camp and stuff, got to talk to him, and he was always very pleasant and a good guy to be around.
He was a good guy, for sure. They were all good kids, but he definitely stood out. He had a big personality.
Yeah, for sure.
So we kind of want to move on to here, because like we just talked about, a guy like Frank Strong, we all remember, and you brought up 4 or 5 names there. I know who Chris Cash is. He played in the NFL, correct? But, the other names are guys that, because I'm a little younger than Coach Anthony here, I don't remember. So we're trying to, with this show, put focus on those kind of kids. Because everyone around here, not that we don't love watching them as well, knows who Jonah Coleman is knows who Jaden Marshall is.
Well, I mean, yeah. I mean, you're starting to talk about Jalen Blackshear and guys like
Yeah,
that. Like everyone has an idea of who they are.
Raleigh Brown.
Tyree Washington.
Everyone knows, but as we want to also, because there's more ballers than just that in this area, and that's what we're trying to, kind of get it out there that Stockton, Lodi, Tracy area of Manteca is full of guys like that. So I know you've coached around here. Who are some guys maybe that you coached, maybe in youth or in the younger levels that are still playing right now that people need to have an eye on?
I mean, I could talk to you about because I've been in the lower levels for such a long time, and my son now is a freshman in high school at
Mhm.
Tokay, and his teammates that have gone on and played in different schools. One comes to mind is Charles Rogers, great kid, awesome family, good athlete, extremely fast, plays for Bear Creek, sophomore this year. He's playing for the varsity team. I think you and I were discussing about him a little bit earlier.
Yeah,
He's going to be somebody to pay attention to as
definitely.
time goes on. You're talking about like a kid like Hayden Merriman from Lodi. He's a sophomore as well. I mean,
Hmm.
he had an opening kickoff, I think, in his first varsity game, and I was fortunate to have both those guys on my team together at the same time. Rogers was the guy, and Caden was just trying to figure it out, and he's really blossomed. It's really neat to watch. I mean, another kid on that Lodi squad is Dylan Wampler, who's a sophomore. They're playing that triple option. He's a fullback, and he's a bear. I mean, it's hard to deal with that guy, and we're gonna have to pay attention to him. As these next couple of years. And
Definitely.
I mean, you got the kid from in the St. Mary's, Mr. Gales over there. This guy he's electric, and he played from the Tracy Rampage, and he's over here running the ball behind a big, massive offensive line. He's going to be fun to watch the next 3-4 years. There's a handful of guys that are just going to be amazing. I can't take nothing away from Lincoln. Those guys are loaded up. They're always bringing it. I don't know the gentleman's name, but number 33 is a grown man. That
Is
boy
that
can
on their
run.
freshman team?
He is on the freshman sophomore team. We played them yesterday, and this guy he's the real deal. He's a good back. I wish I could remember his name. Number 33 was as soon as he got the ball, you couldn't. It took too many guys to bring him down, or he would break the tackle. It was crazy.
So we'll have to.
Absolutely.
So people who watch this, give us a shout out if you know who that is.
Yeah, that guy's tough. I mean, our Tokay guys, we're nothing to frown at. We got a couple guys there too. Isaac Lopez, who you're familiar with.
I know who that is.
He's
Yeah.
yeah, he's our quarterback this year. Jacob Zetner, Crosby. I know you know who Crosby is.
Hmm.
Jason Evans, Jackson Dede, Izzy Espinoza, Davis Diaz. I mean, there's a bunch of them. I mean, we were lucky enough to bring them from the Lodi Colts organization that I coach with, and they all ended up going to
Hmm.
Tokay together. And they're having fun. It's fun to watch as a parent. From this point of view now, as a parent, watching these guys play on in high school, it's amazing. So.
How much are you guys and the kids that you coach looking forward to being able to get back out on the football field here in the coming months?
Oh man, I mean, you can see it in their face. They're happy to be involved, doing something, getting ready. They're excited. It's necessary for them. It's necessary for everybody, really, to get
Agreed.
outside, get some fresh air, talk to your buddies, get a good sweat in, and
Mhm.
learn how to play some football, man, for sure.
Mhm. Also, since your son is one of the kids that's been playing, well, their first game was Saturday, correct?
Their first
Um,
game was yesterday against Lincoln High School. Yes.
so how excited was he to get back out on the field and playing a game?
You know what? He was excited. I think he was. He doesn't talk a lot. He holds a lot of things. You could tell he was a little nervous, but when it was time to go to work, they all went to work, including him. Put in
That's
some good
cool.
effort. We didn't come out like we wanted to. We were dealing with a quarantine for 14 days. That was tough. That was a tough one because if you don't have legs under you, it's tough, right?
Yeah.
And so anyway, it was a great start. Another kid to pay attention to, Mauricio Ceja. This kid is something else. He never played football before. In fact, he was a soccer player. He gets on our team and just, I mean, he fits right in. And he took the opening kickoff for 70 yards right up the middle on Lincoln. And I was working the chain gang on the Lincoln sideline, and they were a little surprised. But Lincoln came back firing and did what they're supposed to do, you know.
You were talking about Charles Rogers earlier. I mean, what kind of peak do you think this guy can get to? Can he be, a legit Division I, player coming out of Bear Creek?
Well, he definitely has the mindset for it. You know, he's a hard worker. He's an intelligent kid. He's got a great support system with his mother and father, Charles and Mary. They did a really good job. Charles has an opportunity to go as high as he wants to go, along with everybody else that I mentioned earlier. You know, there's nothing in their way. Um, Nowadays, it's with what we're dealing with, the COVID and stuff. The kid, the young one that's going to have an opportunity to go and do something, D1, D2, or otherwise, is a kid that's putting in work on their own without being told to do it by a coach or a parent. He sends me videos of him squatting, 400 pounds, and this guy weighs a buck 40, and he's putting in work, and that's what it takes. And these guys, Caden Merriman as well, and Wampler, and I'm sure there's a lot of other guys that I didn't mention. I've had the pleasure coaching for or against, like Mr. Gales. There's no secret recipe, man. It's all about working.
Yeah, 100%. You got to work hard inside the classroom, out on the field to get it. And,
Absolutely.
the whole key is just getting to the next level, being able to get that free education or as much of it free as you can. And that's really what we're about, is trying to get those kids there. So I'm glad that you were able to highlight some of those guys. It's been nice.
Yeah, we really appreciate it, because we know you're a guy that's, a lot of kids. You've worked with a lot of kids, and you can help us put the spotlight on those guys.
Absolutely, and they deserve it. Those coaches that put in those time, the time that they're doing right now, Lodi High, Tokay, Bear Creek, Lincoln, St. Mary's, and on. They deserve all the credit. These guys go out there and put in the time and effort to provide a positive experience for these young men and ladies that go out there and play football, and it's all worth it. Absolutely.
Yeah, a lot of time it's a thankless job. You don't get a lot of the good jobs as you would like, but I think that that's coaches do it for a certain reason, kind of just the way that the kids are able to respond to how the coaches are. I think coaches get the respect from the players, and that's really what it's about. But yeah, definitely, I think that there's a lot of great coaches, which I hope we can highlight some of the great coaches that are kind of going unnoticed, as well as we also tackle the great players that are in this area that are just overlooked because of our demographics and where we're at.
Absolutely. We're always going to hear about as long as Tony Franks and Doug Carresco and his crew is involved, they're going to be somebody always trying to. That's kind of the bar in this area, right? To kind of reach to their level, right? And they have such an organized system. They're well prepared in every facet. And I think that's not to say that other schools are not, but they've been doing it for such a long time. They've almost perfected it. So it's pretty neat. And being on the sideline yesterday, working the chain gang, and being on the Lincoln sideline, it was really awesome to see these coaches, the way they were interacting, organized. Everybody's on the same page. It was pretty impressive. And as a coach myself, I love seeing that interaction and appreciate it. Appreciate what guys like yourself, Alex, and me, and other guys around us that are putting in the time are able to do.
Yeah, 100% agree.
hmm So I have one more person to bring up. It's a guy we both know, and I've been telling him we're going to spotlight him, even though unfortunately he is not playing this year. What do you think of William Hobson from St. Mary's? Unfortunately, out with a shoulder injury this season. We've both coached him, both you and I. Just kind of, and I told him I was going to bring him up on here so people understand. Great player, good kid. What's your opinion on him?
Well, I have a special place in my heart for William Hobson because not only am I friends with his father, Stephen, uh, who's a good person, a good, genuine, caring person. William loves football and he's intelligent. And what's most impressive, aside from his physical attributes and the way he can play, is his ability to coach. To be honest with you, I took him on the coaching staff a couple of seasons ago, and I wanted him to help us at the varsity level, but I saw that he would make a better, stronger impact with the JV team, and they fell in love with Coach Willie Hobson. He's doing a good job communicating and teaching. Obviously, Willie's picked up all the things along the way from yourself, from Coach Parker, from JD Willis, Coach Tui, and so on. And he's able to learn and apply those things that he knows works, and it's pretty neat to see. It's sad that he got hurt and he's not be able to play this year, his last year in high school. I know his family's kind of down and out about it, and that's obviously so, right? But at the same time, Willie's got a big future ahead of him. He can do and accomplish anything he puts his mind to, whether it's going to be in football or in something else. I'd like to see him play college ball. He will be playing college ball. Hopefully he heals up quickly and strongly. He's able to get back out there and make something happen for himself. But if he decides to get into the coaching profession, and I'm talking about like college level and above, he has every ability to do so. He can capture the person's attention and educate them at a very young age. Is pretty neat to see.
Thank you. He's a guy I feel a lot for. Unfortunately, I really appreciate you, or we really
appreciate it
coming on here, taking the time out of your day to talk with us, Izzy. Good luck with the rest of your guys' season, both youth and high school. And I'm sure I'll talk to you again soon.
Yeah, thanks, Izzy. Appreciate it, man.
Hey, coaches, thank you so much. Again, keep up the good work. I'm going to keep passing the word out and letting everybody know that what you guys are doing. And you guys are great. Thank you for doing this for the community.
Well, thanks for coming on. We really appreciate it, and I'm sure we'll see you down the road.
All right, sir. Thank you.
All right, man.
All right,
see you later. It was another great week of action, Horse. High school in the area is going strong, and there's been a lot of fun games, a lot of big-time performances. I'm looking forward to what's going to come the rest of the season.
Yes, it was. It was a great week with some huge performances. I think the kids are still just happy to be out there, being able to play the game they love. But looking up to this next week, so we have some big time games coming up, including a Holy Bowl.
Yeah, we do. There's going to be a Holy Bowl, and you're going to want to watch our preview show because we're going to be going over all the games. It's probably going to air a day early this week on Wednesday due to a team's not playing on Good Friday, so we want to get it out there early so everyone can enjoy the content. But we're going to be previewing these games, and it's going to be a lot of fun. More great football in the area, and boom, Horse, another high school football episode done.